Yo, what's up, everyone? Rage Cage 20 here. I felt like listening to some more Mr. Ballen stories. So here we are. Today we have This Girl Died Horrifically. Ellipses. Twice. I don't know how she died, but if it's horrifying the way she died multiple times, I'm hoping it's some kind of like, it doesn't necessarily have to be supernatural, crazy, or anything like that, but I'm hoping it's like, it's only 20 minutes, which is like usually half the duration of some of his long ones, but I thought it'd be nice to have a nice short one here, because I tend to double to triple the length of the video itself. So it would probably be pretty nice if we had a shorty one here. And I'm hoping that it's some kind of like scary death or something crazy, and not just like, oh, she got hit by a car and she died, but then somehow she came back to life, and I don't know, someone stabbed her in the ER or accidentally shocked her one too many times and she died again. Hopefully it's not something soft like that. I want like something creepy, strange, mysterious, crazy, and I hope we get that here today. With that being said, let's fucking go, Mr. B. Give me something good.
In 2015, a young man living in Honduras made his way to the local cemetery, and he found his wife's gravesite, and he leaned up against it and he quietly began to cry. Seconds later, something would happen inside of that cemetery that would not only cause the young man to go silent, get up, and start running, but it would also be caught on camera. But before we get into today's stories,
Did she all come out like zombie mode and he shot her and that's how she died the second time? This is making me think, I'm calling it right here because, I'm good at these. I never miss anything. Like, seriously, the dude's parents was going for a drug deal. Everyone knows it. They just didn't want to share that information, but everyone knows it. Anyways, I'm thinking it's one of those, like what was kind of Edgar Allan Poe's, like, greatest fear was like being buried alive. Just kind of one of those things that like your body kind of like gets paralyzed and like your heart slows down, so like you everyone thought you were dead but you actually weren't dead, and you like came out of the grave and then you accidentally get killed a second time. I'm feeling like that might be what's going down here.
if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, then you've come to the right place, because that's all we do, and we upload once a week. So if that's of interest to you, please invite the like button to come to the zoo with you, and then cover them in honey and push them into the bear enclosure. Also, please subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads. Okay, let's get into today's stories.
What's the title of this one? What's the title of this one? The Walking Dead? The Oklahoma Problem.
In the spring of 2021...
Is there 3 stories in there? Oh, there is. Oklahoma Problem. What's Wrong with Mommy? The Tomb. So which one is the girl that died 3 times? Is it the tomb? Or twice. Technically twice. It would be twice. Alright, well, let's find out what's wrong with Oklahoma besides, it's Oklahoma. Just kidding. Yeah, I don't know anything about Oklahoma. You're probably a great place. As long as you're not in the South, I assume you're a great place. Anyways, continue.
52-year-old Texas resident Karen Davis.
Okay, we already talked about Texas. We're out. Sorry. I mean, I don't really have anything wrong with Texas, but like the South in general, it's got a bad rep. Let's just put it that way. Anyways, Oklahoma Problem, girl, Texas got it.
And then after the ceremony and after the honeymoon, she went through the process of changing her last name from Davis to McBride to match her husband's last name. After the change was done, the last step was to get a new driver's license with the new name on it. So Karen emailed the local DMV, or Department of Motor Vehicles, to set up a time for her to come in and make the change to her license. But after she sent that email, the local DMV immediately emailed Karen back, and they told her that they could not help her with this request until she resolved an issue. Now, they didn't specify what this issue was. However, they very cryptically said it had something to do with the state of Oklahoma. And then at the bottom of the email, there was just a phone number they told her she needed to call in order to resolve this issue. And so Karen's thinking, okay, that's pretty weird, but I did used to live in Oklahoma, so that probably has something to do with it. And so, not thinking much of it, she punched this number the DMV had given her into her phone, and then she let it ring. A few moments later, much to Karen's shock, a woman from the Norman, Oklahoma District Attorney's Office picked up the phone and said,
"Oh, you got some serious problems up in Oklahoma. You're getting the district attorney. What?
Can I help you?" Karen immediately assumed that the DMV must have made a mistake, that maybe they were trying to give Karen some other number in Oklahoma because this was an Oklahoma problem, and they had mistakenly given her the number to the DA's office. But since she had this woman on the phone, Karen told her, hey, I was just trying to get a new license in Texas. They told me there was some sort of issue. It had to do with me potentially living in Oklahoma. I don't know what it is, but this is the number they gave me. So I'm sure it's a mistake, but that's why I'm calling. The woman from the DA's office had no idea who Karen was.
Right.
But after taking down Karen's information and looking on her computer, she discovered Karen's so-called Oklahoma problem. And after she explained to...
Is there a warrant for your arrest, Karen? Were you being a Karen in Oklahoma? Karen,
what this enormous problem was, Karen literally couldn't believe it. But after this woman went over the details a few more times and really showed Karen that this Oklahoma problem was very, very real, suddenly everything in Karen's life made sense. For the last 22 years, Karen, who was incredibly smart and friendly and polite and never had a problem with anyone, had an incredibly hard time getting a job. Even jobs that she was extremely qualified for, she would get turned down for someone who was way less qualified. And then in the rare times that Karen did actually get hired, she would always get fired for no reason. And so Karen never...
For no reason, Karen. You weren't being a Karen, were you, Karen? Poor Karen's there. I actually didn't know a Karen at the bank I go to for work. She's super sweet and nice. It's unfortunate that her name's Karen.
Never understood why she was being treated this way until now. It would turn out 22 years earlier, which is when Karen's hireability issues began, she lived in Norman, Oklahoma, which is where the DA's office was that she would end up calling 22 years later. And when she was living in Norman, she lived with a roommate. And this roommate was this nice young man who had a couple of young kids. And one weekend, he went to the local movie store called Movie Place, and
was it just you didn't return enough movies for several years that, like, you got a bad rep? Like, what's going on with Blockbuster here?
He rented the hit 90s movie Sabrina the Teenage Witch to watch with his kids. And after he was done watching this movie, he didn't return the VHS tape of Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
I mean, who would ever want to turn back? Dude, Melissa Joan Hart? You don't return Sabrina the Teenage Witch. That's a keeper right there. That's actually how I got Champions. Because, like, if you would keep... Like, they didn't give you an option to buy... I can't remember this Blockbuster Hollywood video. It was so many years ago, back when they existed. Well, there's still one that exists. But, like, they wouldn't give you an option to buy. But if you just kept it and just didn't return it for a long time, they pretty much be like, okay, just buy it. So that's how I got Champions Return to Arms.
Back to Movie Place. Now, normally when this happened, the movie store would just hit the card holder with lots of late fees, which was actually great for the movie store. They made lots and lots of money on individual people that just forgot to return their movies.
Yeah.
And if the card holder just continued to hold on to this delinquent movie, at some point the movie store would just hit them with a final fee that basically accounted for the total cost of the VHS.
You would just technically buy it, yeah. I used that system a few times.
That they had effectively stolen. And then at that point, the matter was resolved. The cardholder owned the VHS tape, whether they knew it or not, and the movie store simply moved on. But in this case, Movie Place in Norman, Oklahoma, didn't think that was enough. And when Sabrina the Teenage Witch was not returned in a timely fashion...
Dude, you get real with Sabrina the Teenage Witch, man. Like, you can't afford to not get that back. Like, that becomes for realsies there. That's for keepsies. Like, I feel that on a real level.
They pressed charges against the card.
I was kind of joking, but actually, they actually did have a warrant for arrest for not returning enough movies. I don't even know if it's a warrant for arrest, but at least charges were pressed. You call up the DA office, and they're like, "Oh, you know what you did, Sabrina? Sound familiar, Karen? You thought you could just take a beloved landmark from us." Imagine that call when you weren't the one who actually rented the movie.
Holder. And the card holder was Karen Davis. The roommate had just borrowed her card. And somehow...
Oh, you're done. Yo, bitch ass roommate is who got you in trouble.
Now, these charges against Karen were never brought up to Karen. She was never contacted by anyone. And so for 22 years, she was technically a wanted felon.
It was actually a warrant for her arrest because of Sabrina, the Teenage fucking Witch. That's the funniest thing I've ever fucking heard.
Meaning, every time one of her employers, either during the interview process or after she was hired,
there's a felony on her personal record,
when they would run a criminal background check on her, it would pop up she was wanted for felony embezzlement.
I would be so... I would fucking sue the fucking... Like... I would honestly, if they were still in business, I would sue that movie renting company. Like, you charged me as a felon for something I didn't even do, which then griefed the rest of my life and affected my employment and whatnot. I'm pretty sure you can actually sue them for that. Like, that is fucking funny.
And so this was the reason she kept not getting jobs and kept getting fired from jobs. Since discovering these charges, Karen worked with the Norman, Oklahoma DA's office and got these charges dismissed.
Felony embezzlement.
You know what really makes me want to slap the like button with a tasseled wobble gong? Inflation. Prices are going through the roof right now, which is why I'm excited to partner with Current again. So thank you to Current for sponsoring today's video. For a chance to win part of zoo with you, and then cover them in honey, and then accidentally push them into the bear enclosure. Okay?
Why do you keep mentioning this multiple times though? That's a short and sweet story, but that's fucking funny. Dude, that's fucking funny. I like that one. What we got here? What's wrong with mommy? We're about to find out what's wrong with mommy.
Hey, back to the stories. In the early evening hours of December 24th, 2011, so Christmas Eve, 26-year-old Zazel Preston sat on her bed in her little apartment in Anaheim.
Okay. That's a fucking cool name. Like, I don't know if that's a nickname or not, but that's fucking cool. Zazel. And then, like, a normal ass fucking last name Preston. Like, what? How do you have Zazel as a name, but your last name be Preston? Oh my god, that is such a fucking cool name. Also not bad looking, all I'm gonna say. I mean, what's right with mommy? I can answer that one.
California, and wrapped Christmas gifts for her children. Laying next to her was her newest addition to the family, her third child, a 7-week-old little boy. This Christmas was a big deal for Zazel. It was also a big deal for her husband, 30-year-old William Wallace, not only because it was going to be the first Christmas with their new son, but also because this was the first Christmas after Zazel and William had reconciled their relationship. They had been married for the past 3 years, but over those 3 years, their relationship had been very unhealthy and toxic and at times abusive. But earlier that year, when Zazel had discovered that she was pregnant, this baby became kind of like a new anchor point for their relationship. It was like suddenly they could put their differences aside and just focus on raising their kids together. After wrapping her final present, Giselle hopped off the bed, she scooped up her little boy, and then she headed out into the living room where she met up with her husband and her 2 older children, who were little girls aged 3 and 8, and then they all headed outside and went next door to celebrate Christmas Eve at a party with their neighbors. Okay. Early the next morning, so on Christmas Day, Giselle's 2 oldest children, the 2 girls, they got up early and they rushed out of their bedrooms and they ran down the hallway into the living room where their parents were waiting for them on the couch along with their baby brother. The living room was completely...
That's never how it was. In my house, as we had 2 phases of Christmas. When we were young and when we were older. When we were young, there wouldn't be no parents waiting for us at the fucking couch or whatnot. Because we would wake up at the butt fuck of we want presents. Whenever that time would be. And our parents were like, no, we're sleeping in. Wait in your room. Don't go snagging on those presents. And we were good kids. We never went out and checked the presents and whatnot. Because, I mean, how do you explain, like, oh, it wrapped itself? Like you're going to get away with that. So we'd wake up maybe 6 or 7, and they'd be like at least 9 or 10. So we'd just chill in one of our rooms and watch TV together and whatnot, my brother and I. And then when we got older, it was the opposite. They would wake up and we would be like sleeping the fuck in because we knew the presents weren't going anywhere. So like they would come in and wake us up, be like, all right, we're doing presents shit, and be like, okay. So there was no like we would wake up, parents were like, we're ready to get, we're already out and stuff. That never happened for me, but it's interesting to hear the differences between different families.
Decked out with Christmas decorations that the family had put up over the past couple of weeks. The Christmas tree was in the corner with bright multicolored lights and ornaments all over it. There were wreaths on the wall and other string lights around the top of the room. And then over their fireplace were all of their stockings nailed up, stuffed with goodies. The little girls squealed with delight and ran around the couch and took up spots right underneath the Christmas tree, and they grabbed their first present and they turned and looked at their parents on the couch, and they saw their dad kind of give them a nod of approval, which meant, okay, you can start opening your gifts. And so the girls happily began tearing in.
They're not noticing something in the story. They're not paying attention to mom right now. Seems like, did dad do something to mom? What's up with mom? There's just something going on with mom and dad I ain't even noticing. This information is being left out for a reason. Something's gonna go down.
To the festive wrapping, and then after each of them had their brand new toy in hand, they turned around reflexively to show their parents. And so William, he sees the toys and he says, oh, they're so great, guys. And then when the girls, they look at their mother and they show her the toys, she doesn't even react.
Yeah, it's a. I mean, maybe the kids are probably young enough to that they still think Santa, brought them the toys and whatnot, and that makes sense. But it's just like he's like, you're like, oh, look what I got. And it's like, yeah, I know, I got that. I know what's in there. I think that's kind of funny. It's very, very childlike behavior, and it's adorable.
He completely ignores them. And so at some point, these little kids, they start yelling for their mom, hey mom, check it out, look at this new toy. But Giselle just sits there. She doesn't say a word. She's just sitting back on the couch, completely ignoring them. Finally, the 8-year-old turns to William and says, what's wrong with mommy? And at this point, William pauses, and then he gives Giselle a scathing look before very bluntly saying to these young kids, mommy got drunk, and now she's ruined Christmas. The girls knew.
What? What's going on here? Something ain't right. Mommy got fucked up. I mean, I would be upset too, because that happened to me. Not during Christmas, not with the kids or anything, but like, I came home one day. My ex-wife was super drunk. Don't know why. She just decided to drink, and was annoying as fuck all night long. And then the next morning, was trying to be like all cuddly with me and like, bitch, get off me. You know what you did last night. You didn't know how I come home you fucking wasted. What the fuck's wrong with you? Because that had never happened before. So, I can understand the scathing look of just like, mommy decided I'm going to get fucked up before Christmas. I guess I could understand that. Especially if you've had relationship issues in the past, like I can understand that, but like I feel like there's more to it though. I feel like there's more going on here.
From William's tone of voice that their parents must be fighting, and so they did what they normally did when this happened, and that was to just try to ignore it. And so the little girls, they turned away from their parents and began opening more presents, doing their best not to disturb their parents, who were sitting silently behind them. And then a little after 9 a.m., after most of the presents had been opened, William abruptly stood up and walked into the other room and placed a phone call. And then a few minutes later, there was a loud knock on the front door. The night before, after Zazelle and William and their kids had left their neighbor's party and come back to their apartment, Zazelle and William had gotten into a vicious fight. And by the time the kids had all gone to bed,
Did Zazelle get killed in this fight? Because the eyelids would stay open. That is a thing. Is she dead right now?
the fight between the parents had become very physical. Neighbors would recall late at night on Christmas Eve hearing this very loud commotion coming from Zazelle and William's apartment. And at some point, apparently Zazelle had tried to run out of the apartment, but William had chased after her and hauled her back inside. The sounds coming from their apartment would eventually stop somewhere in the wee hours of Christmas Day. And then as the sun came up on Christmas Day, Zazelle and William had made their way to the couch, and they were sitting there with their 7-week-old baby, waiting for their two oldest to wake up and come open presents. Except when their two little girls came out of their bedrooms and bombed into the living room to begin celebrating, only William was alive.
Called it. Like mommy dead, isn't she? William dad killed mommy, didn't she? Didn't he? That girl's fine, man. Goddamn. Why do you have to kill something beautiful? Yeah, I got... You know... I don't know. Sometimes I think divorce is easier than prison. You know what I mean? It's... I don't understand why people kill each other. I didn't kill my ex-wife. We just decided we didn't want anything to do with each other, and we just left. I didn't take anything from her. She didn't take anything from me. Peaceful break. Just like, we just don't want anything to do with each other anymore. We didn't try to kill each other. What the fuck's wrong with y'all? Y'all need fucking anger management and all this shit, dog. Come on, man. No reason to kill a motherfucker. Just split.
Zazelle had been beaten to death by William. And after he had beaten her to death the night before, he had dragged her into the living room, set her up on the couch to make it look like she was sitting, and then put sunglasses on her eyes in order to trick the children. And so all morning, as this 3-year-old and 8-year-old are opening these gifts and turning and
showing dead mama. Oh, man. I mean, the sunglasses would make sense if you're hungover and whatnot, but kids wouldn't understand that anyways. So who you trying to fool? But if like her eyes were like that and shit, or closed, she'd be like, why? They'd be like, well, mom's sleeping, and like, yo, mom don't look okay. So I guess that makes sense. Still fucked up though. Still extremely fucked up though.
Showing their mother with excitement, she was dead the whole time. But at around 9 a.m., William realized his charade was not going to last because his kids were really keyed in to there being something wrong with their mother. And so that was when he got up and he called 911 and he told them that his wife had gotten drunk and fallen into a glass coffee table. And so she was hurt. And so a little bit later, the police and paramedics.
Yeah, you pretty much just sent yourself to jail on that one. I mean, not like, what the fuck, how were you going to get rid of it and your kids weren't going to know? Like, you were going to jail regardless for that act. There's no escape from that, but like why, like, at that point, why even pretend? Like, just come clean, like, hey, I killed my wife. come take me away and come get her and my kids. Because, like, she got drunk and fell through a table. If she doesn't have, like, lacerations all over her, which I assume she doesn't, or the kids would notice or see blood or something, the cops, paramedics are going to take her away and be like, yeah, that story doesn't add up. You're coming too. You're now a suspect. You know what I mean? Like, you're already done. Like, the second the cops show up. You know what I mean? Like, you might as well just turn yourself in at that point.
They arrive, they go inside, and right away they can tell William is lying to them. There's more to this story than they're being told. And so ultimately, William would be convicted of second-degree murder.
Where did I know that name? Isn't that... wait. William Wallace? The Braveheart? Dude. I mean, you can't resist, right? If your last name's Wallace and you have a son, like, you gotta name him William, right? That's fucking funny, dude.
And he would be...
This whole situation is not funny, but that coincidence is just fucking hilarious.
Sentenced to 15 years to life in prison. As for Zazelle...
I mean... Whoa, Minnie. You're getting a little handsy there, Minnie. Careful now. Even that kid's like, yo, what the fuck you doing? Sorry. Like, Danny, that's fucked up. That's real sad, man. Like, that's really sad for the fucking kids, dude. Like, that's really fucked up. Also, someone with a bitchin' fucking name in it. Just fucking name in general, bitchin' ass name. Like, come on, man. Like, you can't take someone like that out. Their name's awesome. Like, that person has to live by that alone. First off. But, like, come on, man. There's no reason to kill a motherfucker. Like, yeah, alimony and child support is, like, almost feels like a death sentence in itself. Fucking the court system needs to be fixed. But, like, you still don't just start killing people, you know what I mean? Like, prison's worse, in my opinion. I think. I don't know. I haven't had either. So, yeah. Knocking on wood. Softly because it's going to rattle the mic. You know, it's whatever.
All's 3 children, they are now being looked after by her parents.
It's fucked up. It's fucked. Alright, the moment you've been waiting for. The girl who died horrifically twice. Caught on camera. Apparently, I want to see this camera footage, dog. If it was caught on camera, I would love to see it. This sounds exciting.
In August of 2015, 16-year-old Nacy Perez suddenly woke up in the middle of the night. As she lay there scanning around the dark, tiny room that she was in, it dawned on her that the most likely reason she had just woken up is because she really needed to use the bathroom. And so she climbed out of her bed and she began carefully walking across the room where her other relatives were sleeping on the floor as she moved towards the back of the house. Nacy lived in a town called La Entrada, which is located in one of the poorest and most dangerous countries in the world, Honduras. But despite the harshness of her reality, Nacy was pretty happy. She had recently married the boy she was in love with. His name was Rudy.
Okay. I understand that things are very different. Honduras? Is that Mexico or is that South America? Not sure. I know things are different for Hispanic cultures. I've seen a few people under 18 that I've either worked with or people they've known that have dated people who are like 19, 20. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen 16-year-olds date like 19-year-olds. So, like, you know, I get it that that's just, like, acceptable and those kind of culture and society and whatnot. It's different than what we do or not. But to be married at 16, coming from the U.S. and, you know, the general belief system is, like, that's a little crazy, dog. Like, usually in the U.S., that would be because someone got pregnant. But you cannot legally get married at 16 without parent permission. So, parent and or guardian permission. So, like, That's what got me suspicious, not how she died twice.
And the two of them were both very excited about their first child, which was due in
there you go.
a matter of months. So Nacy reached the back of her house, she pushed open the back door, and she stepped out into the hot night air.
Right, because there's no indoor plumbing. Yeah. Or bathroom system. That makes sense.
And then she made the familiar walk across her backyard toward the outhouse.
I gotta say, if I had to travel in the dark out to take a piss or shit in the middle of the night, I might just try to hold it and learn how to sleep with a full bladder. You know what I mean? Like, nah, I ain't getting got by some like wildlife and shit while I have to go piss. I'm good, Holmes.
But Nacy would never reach the outhouse. The next
Exactly. See, I'm good, man. I'll piss the bed. I can wash that.
morning, Nacy's mother woke up first. Her name was Maria, and as she passed by the back door, she looked outside and she saw Nacy lying on the ground.
And they didn't even take the kill. If it was an animal, it probably would have been eaten or dragged off. So someone just straight up killed her and then left her there. Why?
And so Maria, she screams, she runs outside to her daughter, and she flips her over, and she...
Oh, but she ain't dead yet. Wait, she ain't dead yet. The plot thickens. It might be legally dead. Might have no heartbeat. I gotta find out what happens now.
Looking at her, and Nacy is unresponsive, and she's foaming at the mouth. Now, they're in a part of the world where healthcare was not top-notch, not even close. And Honduras is known for being an extremely religious part of the world. And so Maria did not think, oh, I should send my daughter to the hospital or I should call a doctor. Instead, Maria and the rest of Nacy's family, who had all streamed outside because of the commotion, they decided to call a priest to perform an exorcism.
The foamy demon's got her. We gotta get this demon out of her. That's great.
Because the belief was Nacy must be possessed with demons. And
see, if you step outside to piss in the middle of the night, the demon's gonna get you. Like, that's day one shit. This girl should have known that.
So a priest was hailed to the residence, and the priest would perform an exorcism on Nacy, but it wouldn't do anything. And so at that point, Maria and the rest of Nacy's family would take Nacy, who was still totally unresponsive and foaming, to the local hospital. But by that
time, it was probably too late. For a second there, I thought it was going to be that they're just like, we gotta kill her before the demon starts lashing out at us and takes us. I thought they were gonna kill her right then and there. The exorcism didn't work. Take her out.
At that point, it was too late. Nacy was dead. When Nacy's family asked the doctors what happened to her, they said they didn't know. And so, heartbroken and confused, Maria and the rest of Nacy's family brought Nacy back home. They had an ad hoc memorial service, and then they buried her. The following day, Nacy's husband, Rudy, who was totally distraught because he has not only lost his wife, he's also lost his unborn child.
Oh, yeah,
he got up early and he just had to go to the cemetery to be with his wife. And so he made his way over to the local cemetery and he found his wife's gravesite. Nacy had not been buried under the earth. Instead, she had been placed into a coffin, and that coffin had been slid into this big, hollowed-out cement block.
Right, like catacomb. Yeah, okay.
That was as big.
Like a catacomb, but, catacomb-like tomb, I guess you would, because it's not actually a catacomb, so it's not. Well, it is containing multiple deaths. I guess what does it require to actually be, like, a full-on catacomb? Does it need like a certain amount of bodies, or is it a certain landscape setting, like certain like architectural creation that counts as a catacomb, or is it any place where multiple dead bodies are stored in this fashion? Can that be considered a catacomb? Should probably look that up. That'd be interesting to learn. Anyways,
as a coffin. And then once the coffin was slid inside, they walled up the opening. So basically her gravesite was this kind of freestanding big cement block.
That's fucked up. If you're still alive, how do you get out of that?
And so Rudy finds Nacy's cement block, and he goes up right next to it, and he leans up against it, and he begins to quietly sob. But just seconds later, he would hear something in that cemetery that would cause him to go completely silent, stand up, and sprint away. The day before, approximately 1 or 2 hours after Nacy's coffin was slid inside of that cement tomb and walled up, Nacy woke up. She was never dead. It's unclear what originally caused Nacy to collapse outside of her house on the way to the outhouse, but the two leading theories are, one, she had a severe panic attack caused by a nearby gunshot, or two, she had a severe episode of cataplexy. Cataplexy is the sudden, uncontrollable loss of muscle function, often brought on by very strong emotions. A mild case could be just having your knees buckle for a second. A severe case, which is what they believe could have happened to Nacy, would result in basically complete paralysis. But whatever...
I mean, pretty easy with the introduction story to kind of guess what happened. But like, did your boy call it, or did your boy call it? She was in a paralysis-like state, not actually dead, and was buried alive, and then broke the fuck out. And then I don't know. She probably can't break out because she's cemented in, and so she died of starvation. That's a horrible way to go, man. Buried alive by your family and you're not actually dead, but that's your family ends up killing you because of that? No way, dog. No way. That's fucked. That's fucked, dog. How did they find out that that's what killed her? Like what?
Whatever the case was, the doctors at the hospital got it wrong. When Nacy was brought to them, she was not dead. And so when she woke up inside of her coffin that was encased in cement, she began shrieking and trying to pound up against the inside of these tight walls that were pressed up against her. And at some point, she even managed to force her hands up near her head, and she shattered the glass window that sat in her coffin that looked right down at her face. She broke the glass, but it didn't help her at all because, again, it's just cement on the other side.
It'd probably hinder, if anything, with broken glass raining down on your face, and just when you're struggling, you're probably cutting yourself.
And so glass shards fell into her mouth and into her eyes.
Yeah, that really did not do it.
And so she stayed like that, screaming and trying to fight her way out for over 24 hours, trying to get anybody's attention, but nobody heard her. Until her husband, Rudy, he leaned up against her tomb and he put his ear right up against the cement and began to cry. And that's when he heard, through the cement, the sound of his wife calling out for help. Rudy instantly ran and got help, and he and his family came back, and they broke open the side of this tomb, and they pulled...
Oh, here's the real video, actually, of it. Oh.
Pulled Nacy's coffin out, and even though she was now unresponsive, she had a faint heartbeat, and so they rushed her to the hospital. But by the time she got there, she really had died. Nacy had finally just run out of oxygen, likely within minutes of
her
husband finally hearing her screams. So that's gonna do it.
That's fucked up. I didn't even think about the fact that there'd be a lack of oxygen in there. And she was screaming for 24 hours, which is hard to get sound through cement barrier. Not impossible, but hard to do. So she was probably running herself out of air much quicker. She bought herself some time, actually, by shattering the glass, but that also is probably causing more injury than anything else. But, like, wow, that's fucking fucked. Well, those were some good stories. I mean, if it was just the one, you know, it would have been good, but, like, you know, she would have needed a little bit more pizzazz, you know what I mean? But that was pretty fucking good, man. That was pretty good. That fucking Oklahoma one was hilarious. The mommy one was extremely sad and fucked up. And that one was just so unfortunate, dude. There's so much about that was just so fucked. Like, so beyond fucked. And, like, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, maybe call it first world or whatever to say this, but, like, it really, like, I don't live in a good neighborhood, but, like, I have indoor plumbing. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's like it's one of those things that, like, I don't know if I'd be startled by a gunshot because I hear it pretty consistently. You know what I mean? It's not every day, but, like, that's not abnormal. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't be startled if I had to go out and pee and stuff. I heard gunshots going off. I'd just be like, and just keep moving, keep going. But like, the fact that just, like, the things that we take for granted that other places don't even have and shit. Like, I mean, we don't really think about that and stuff and whatnot. It's like, kind of brings a new appreciation to what you do got. Like, I'm sweating like crazy in this room whenever I record because I don't have the door open. Can't have my fan on and stuff. But, like, I don't mind sweating in general, but I also don't mind it because, you think about it, like, other places don't have AC units, and it's way hotter there on a daily basis, even at night, than it is here. Then we're more humid. So, like, this is, like, all day, every day, forever at certain places and whatnot. You know what I mean? So, like, very humbling story and incredibly tragic. That's going to do it here for me today. I hope y'all enjoyed. Sad, but I hope y'all enjoyed. And I will see you all next time. By the way, like, the lesson you can all learn from today is you don't fuck around and just be snatching Sabrina the Teenage Witch and think someone ain't gonna do anything about it. That's a federal offense. So you think about that next time you think about jacking some Teenage Witch Sabrina action, okay? You think about that.